Rome has a list. Your name is on it. Not because you stole bread, not because you cheated at the market, because the most powerful empire the world has ever seen looked at you, specifically at you, and decided you are a problem that needs to be solved. What happens next depends entirely on where you rank, because in Rome, there isn't one type of wanted criminal. There are 7, and the distance between rank 1 and rank 7 is the distance between a fine and a forest of 6,000 crosses lining the road out of the city. Let's set the scene. You're somewhere inside the Roman Empire. That means you're inside the largest, most organized surveillance state the ancient world ever produced. Rome doesn't have cameras. It doesn't have phones. But it has something almost as effective: an entire society built on informants, bounties, and public shame. If the state wants you found, your neighbors will find you, because Rome pays them to. The empire runs on law. Specifically, it runs on whose law protects you. Because here's what they don't put in the history books. Roman justice wasn't blind. It was designed to see your social class first and your crime second. Senators got exile, citizens got fines, freedmen got beatings, slaves got crucifixion. Same crime, wildly different outcomes. There's also a Roman legal concept you need to know before we go any further. It's called Homo Sacer, the sacred man. And despite the name, it has nothing to do with being holy. It means you've been cast out of human society entirely. Anyone can kill you. No one will be punished for it. You are, legally speaking, already dead. We'll come back to that. For now, let's start at the bottom of the list and work our way up. Because every rank on Rome's Most Wanted is a different life, a different chase, and a different ending. Rank 7. You're a petty thief. You stole something. Maybe a loaf of bread. Maybe a small purse of coins. Rome has a word for what you did: furdum, and it distinguishes between 2 types of thief. The non-manifest thief wasn't caught in the act. You dropped the purse and walked away clean. In that case, you pay back double the stolen value. But if you were caught holding it, that's manifest theft. And the punishment for that started, historically, at flogging, enslavement, or even death. By the later empire, according to Roman legal records, it softened to a fine of 4 times the value of the stolen item. 4 times. You stole 10 denarii. You owe 40. If you don't have 40, Rome gets creative. Here's the micro detail that tells you everything about Rome. A slave who stole the same item you did faced crucifixion. Not because the crime was worse, because the slave was worth less than the thing they stole. You're rank 7. You'll survive this, but you should know, it gets dramatically worse from here. Rank 6. You're a fugitive slave, and you are not legally a person. Rome called slaves instrumentum vocale, speaking tools. You were property before you were human, and the Roman economy, a population of roughly 6 million free citizens supported by an estimated 2 million enslaved people, ran entirely on your labor. If you ran, the state mobilized to bring you back. A Roman slave owner could post a notice. He could hire trackers. He could offer a reward to any citizen who spotted you. And because harboring a fugitive slave was itself a crime, no one along any road would dare hide you. If you were caught, the punishment returned you to your owner, who now had total legal authority over what happened next. That could mean branding. The furca, a forked beam strapped to your shoulders as public humiliation. Or worse. But here's what kept Roman senators up at night. There were so many of you. The Senate actually debated requiring slaves to wear distinctive clothing so they could be identified on sight. They voted it down. The reason they gave is almost too chilling to believe. They were afraid that if slaves saw how many of them there were, they might realize they outnumbered their masters. We'll revisit that fear at rank 4, because one man decided to prove it. Rank 5. You're a Roman brigand. You've gone professional. The Romans had a specific word for highway robbers, latrones, and in the countryside beyond Rome's city walls, they were everywhere. Rural roads were dangerous. Rich merchants moved in armed convoys. Governors had standing orders from the emperor himself to hunt you down. According to Roman legal text preserved in Justinian's Digest, governors of provinces were required to search for all, and this is a direct legal category: sacrilegious persons, robbers, and kidnappers. You're in that sentence. The sentence after that one is the part you should be worried about. Punishment, proportion to the gravity of the offense. If you robbed a cart, flogging, then the mines. If you robbed an official, the arena. The Colosseum wasn't just entertainment, it was Rome's most efficient execution site, and criminals killed by wild animals in front of a crowd of 50,000 were the empire's way of outsourcing deterrence. But here's what nobody expects about rank 5. The thing Rome feared most wasn't your violence. It was your organization. A single brigand is a criminal. A network of brigands is an insurrection. And Rome treated insurrection very differently. That distinction becomes everything at rank 3. Rank 4. You're Spartacus, or at least you tried to be him. It starts with 70 gladiators, kitchen knives, and a volcano. In 73 BCE, a Thracian gladiator named Spartacus, a former auxiliary soldier in the Roman army who had been captured, enslaved, and sold to a gladiatorial school in Capua, escaped. He and roughly 70 others armed themselves with whatever they could grab from the kitchen and fought their way out. Rome sent a militia. Spartacus sent them back broken. They sent a praetor, broken again. Within 2 years, what started as a kitchen escape had become an army of 120,000. Slaves, freedmen, and the desperate poor flooded to his banner. Spartacus defeated trained Roman legions multiple times. He marched the length of Italy and back. He came close enough to Rome that the Senate could hear about it in the same week. Rome was genuinely terrified. And then it ended. The wealthiest man in the Roman Republic, Marcus Licinius Crassus, whose fortune modern historians estimate at the equivalent of roughly $170 billion, raised 8 legions at his own expense and crushed the rebellion in 71 BCE. Spartacus died fighting. His body was never identified. But it's what happened to the survivors that made this rank unforgettable. Crassus had 6,000 surviving rebels crucified. He spaced the crosses roughly 40 yards apart along the Appian Way, the main road from Capua to Rome. That's over 100 miles. 100 miles of crosses. Every slave trader bringing fresh cargo into Rome drove through that corridor. Every traveler, every senator. The message wasn't subtle. It wasn't meant to be. The crosses stayed up for months. If you're rank 4, you changed the world. Rome never felt safe again, but it made sure you paid a price so extraordinary it still echoes 2,000 years later. Rank 3, you're a pirate, and Rome has a name for you that no legal status could fix. Hostis humani generis, enemy of all mankind. By the 1st century BCE, Cilician pirates hadn't just inconvenienced Rome. They had effectively blockaded the Mediterranean. They raided Italian coastlines. They sacked Ostia, Rome's own main port. They kidnapped senators along the Appian Way. The price of grain in the city was spiking toward famine levels. Rome had a word for their typical enemies, hostis, a foreign foe who still deserved the rules of war. Pirates didn't get that word. Cicero himself argued that pirates were outside civilized society entirely. That good faith, oaths, and legal protection simply didn't apply to them. Here's the story that tells you exactly what rank 3 looked like from the inside. In 75 BCE, Cilician pirates captured a young Roman nobleman traveling by sea. They demanded a ransom of 20 talents. The nobleman laughed. He told them they'd clearly underestimated who they had. He demanded they raise the ransom to 50. He spent his weeks of captivity writing poetry and demanding the pirates listen to it. When they didn't applaud enthusiastically enough, he called them illiterates and told them, repeatedly, apparently cheerfully, that he would come back and crucify every single one of them. They thought he was joking. The ransom was paid. He hired ships. He returned to their base within weeks and captured them. He had them crucified. Every one. The man's name was Julius Caesar. And Rome would eventually appoint Pompey to sweep pirates from every sea lane in the Mediterranean in just 89 days. Rank 3 has a magnificent mythology, but the ending is always the same. Rank 2. You're a proscribed senator, and you didn't commit a crime. You lost a political argument. In 82 BCE, the Roman dictator Sulla invented something new and terrible. He called it proscriptio, the proscription. It was a list, posted publicly. And if your name was on it, everything you owned belonged to Rome, and your life belonged to whoever decided to collect the bounty. Approximately 520 people made Sulla's first list, according to modern historians. Their property was seized. Their families were barred from political life. Their sons and grandsons were permanently excluded from the Senate, and anyone who sheltered a proscribed man became a proscribed man. The second triumvirate, Octavian, Mark Antony, and Lepidus, used it again in 43 BCE on an even larger scale to fund their wars and eliminate rivals. Cicero himself, the greatest orator Rome had produced, made that list. He was killed trying to flee Italy. His hands were cut off. His head was displayed on the speaker's platform in the Roman Forum, the same platform from which he delivered his greatest speeches. If you're rank 2, there is no courtroom. There is no appeal. There is only the list, the bounty hunter, and wherever you can run before someone finds you. But there is one more rank, and it's the reason we started this video where we did. Rank 1. You are Homo Sacer, the sacred man. The phrase goes back to the 12 Tables, Rome's original legal code, written around 450 BCE. It describes a status so ancient, so absolute, that even Rome's gods don't want you. You can't be sacrificed to them. You can't be executed by the state. But you can be killed by anyone, at any time, for any reason, and the killer faces no punishment whatsoever. You've been removed from human jurisdiction entirely. You exist, but you have no legal existence. No one owes you protection. No one can be prosecuted for your death. You walk the same streets as everyone else, but the law that governs those streets has simply decided you're not there. Think about what that actually means. You can't buy food without someone potentially taking it back by force. You can't sleep without someone having a legal right to end your life while you do. You have no recourse, no appeal, no magistrate, no court. Rome didn't just want to punish you. Rome wanted you to understand what it felt like to be outside of everything Rome had built. And the cruelest part? The status of Homo Sacer was typically applied for oath-breaking. For betraying the social contract, Rome was saying, "You abandoned what makes us human, so we abandon you." We started with a list and your name on it. Here's what that list actually measured. Not how dangerous you were, but how much Rome feared what you represented. The petty thief threatened property. The fugitive slave threatened the economy. Spartacus threatened the entire social order. The pirate threatened civilization's arteries. The proscribed senator threatened whoever held power. And Homo Sacer? Homo Sacer was what happened when Rome needed a legal mechanism to unmake a person without killing them itself. The empire that built the roads, the aqueducts, the courts, and the concept of Roman citizenship, the most coveted legal status in the ancient world, also built the most sophisticated system of legal exclusion in history. Two sides of the same marble coin. If this made you want to understand how Rome actually fell apart from the inside, the story of the Year of the Four Emperors is one of the most chaotic 12 months in political history. 4 men claimed to be emperor within 1 year. I've got that video linked right up here. And if you want more history that actually feels like something, subscribe. New stories every week. Leave a comment below with which rank you think you'd survive longest. My money's on rank 7. Get in, pay the fine, walk out, and never touch anyone's purse again.